So it feels bad, man. Because of that, our player also asked for a little bit of a break, which is completely understandable after a series like that. But here we go. Finally, we have returned with our final series of the night. And spawning in the top right-hand corner, it's the player himself, the American Terran. Currently teamless, it is Dolan. And spawning in the bottom left-hand corner of Jagannatha LE, we have the American Protoss player. He is red, representing the Cranky Ducklings. It is PattyMac. Oh my god. So I'm so torn. One, again, less than 3 for Dolan. I mean, oh god, it was such a rough game versus Semper. He was up like 50 supply, he was up 2 bases, and you know how it is with TVT. It is very positional based. It doesn't matter how much of a supply lead you have. Like, at the end of the day, if your opponent sieges up first, if they have the advantage when it comes to the siege tanks, the positioning, the air superiority, it does not matter. So, Dolan had a rough first series there against Semper, and now he's got to shake it all off and go up against a Protoss player. And PattyMac being a little bit cheeky here with a proxy pylon. Thankfully, Dolan does SCV scout, but unfortunately, he is foregoing the Reaper scout. He's going straight for a Marine. So being a little bit greedy, preserving that gas for later on, and this does mean that he won't have a Reaper out on the map to scout and look for proxies. Even though he is aware that a pylon is missing, he's aware of the double gases being taken. So Dolan, he has some information, he does not have all information. But I love this. Look how seriously he's taking this. He recognizes, yo, something's gonna hit me. I'm not gonna know what. I'm going to try and prepare for whatever is coming my way. Unfortunately, this bunker will help against things like proxy gateways, even a proxy robo. Not so much against a proxy Stargate, which is going to be going straight into his main base. Meanwhile, I love this response. He goes for an NG block here on the low ground, is going to be delaying the nexus of PattyMac. And PattyMac, again, he's not all in. He wants to expand. Forced so many probes off the line here. The economy going vastly in favor of Dolan. Meanwhile, we do of course have the Stargate finishing up. Just quickly checking, this was scouted by Dolan. Oh my god. The MVP Marine does move out. It does scout the Stargate. He's well aware of the Oracle coming his way. Now he has to prepare, and I'm really concerned whether or not he will. Oh boy. As the first adept does check the front door, confirms the bunker, confirms also that there is a CC on the high ground, so PattyMac knows that it is not a one base play coming his way. With the shade, he was able to confirm that a CC has been thrown down. Meanwhile, Oracle is going to be sneaking into the main. Again, this was scouted, so Dolan, he has 2 Marines, but the problem is that he only has 2 Marines. Honestly, this Oracle, if it wanted to, could probably just kill both Marines and then go for the SCVs. Instead, he just goes straight for said SCVs, gets 1, 2, 3. Workers go down, and the Oracle escapes with his life. Meanwhile, we have 2 adepts here on the low ground. The goal of these adepts, 1, maybe find a way into the main base. Oh my god, Deeper needs to be raised, Up! Does get raised. And again, PattyMac is going to be as annoying as possible with this, but with this Cyclone, he is able to push, Dolan is able to push away the adepts. And Dolan has survived the early game. We are moving on from here. I mean, there was a little bit of back and forth, right? PattyMac's Nexus was delayed, so was Dolan's, to be fair. But the game doesn't just end here. Meanwhile, I did want to kind of get into this. Yo, I see them in the chat. Yes, duck versus duck, 100%. I was about to say, this is why I am torn, because I love, obviously, my player PattyMac, as well as Dolan as well. For those wondering, Dolan may be teamless, but his mascot, his stream icon, is in fact a duck. The Dolan duck, I see them in the chat. So we have some duck on duck action, and in an ideal world, you know, ducks, they fly together. Dolan has been very supportive of the Cranky Ducklings, and in an ideal world, they would both move on from the brackets. They would move on from the group stage into the playoffs. But unfortunately, they have to face off here. They both enter. Only one moves out. So it's a bit of a feels bad, man. My poor heart. But we'll see how this goes. Meanwhile, you know, when it comes to the preparation for this series and for this day, for this event, PattyMac has been practicing so hard. He's been hitting that EU ladder. He also hit number 1 on NA a couple of days ago. So again, PattyMac has been practicing a lot when it comes to not just ladder, but also custom games amongst the ducklings. And he's ready to really make his mark in DreamHack. Will it work? He already took down Pure Legacy 2-0 in a PvT earlier today. Can he do it again to Dolan? Or can Dolan redeem himself? Again, yo, that series versus Temperate, still fresh in my mind. Ay. Oh god. As we do have additional Raxes being thrown down here from Dolan. Gonna be working on a timing once Stim, Combat Shields, and +1 finishes up. Meanwhile, because, again, everything has been so delayed, PattyMac is free to take a third base. He has a couple units outside just in case there is a move out, but he's well aware that there won't be, so he's free to not just expand, but also tech up, get a Robotics Bay on the way, you know, delay his additional gateways for as long as possible, be as greedy. Finally, the gateways are being thrown down, but again, these could be delayed in favor of tech and in favor of economy, because Dolan has been slowed down as much as he has. We have, of course, the Hallucination coming in, is able to scout the entirety of the main base of Dolan, confirms the production, confirms the upgrades, confirms that there is no third CC. Ooh, and at the same time, there was nothing here in the main, so the Oracle does dive in. There is a Cyclone, so the Oracle will be thrown down. Sorry, it will go down, I should say. It is forfeit. Is able to get 3 ACVs before that happens, though. Gets a Revelation. With this Revelation, he'll be able to see the timing of which these upgrades finish. And again, the goal of these Stalkers are to slow down this push. The army is moving out across the map, is spotted by the Stalkers. Ooh, Blink is done. But one Stalker goes down regardless. Oh my god, a second as well. PattyMac, please. The Stalker micro is less than ideal. He does pick up a couple of Marines, but at the cost of, what, 4 Stalkers? Ay. Meanwhile, this proxy will finally be dealt with again. Dolan wants to just go across the map. The problem is, by the time he does get to the third base, we have a Colossus already ready here. A second one is not on the way quite yet, but it should be in production. Charge is going to finish up in a couple of seconds as well. We need that warp in though, as Dolan is looking to hit the front of the third. Ooh, at the same time, the Raven does sneak into the natural base. 8 probes go down. It also forced the army of PattyMac to respond for a moment there, but he knows how important it is to remain here at the third. Dolan tries to force his way up the ramp. The tank does siege up. Widowmine shot goes off, but the tank does get picked off. Ooh, nice disable on the Colossus though. Again, the Raven coming in from behind was a massive... Oh my god! But unfortunately, the Colossus, no, the miss micro! It goes down before the disable runs out, and Dolan with this timing, it looks like he's going to be able to overwhelm everything that PattyMac has. GG gets called, and Dolan takes the first game. Mate, the flanking Raven! I didn't even realize how much energy it had left. But again, that was the Raven that was harassing in the mineral line with that auto turret. And then from behind it comes in, disables that Colossus, and without that Colossus, that was it for the defense of PattyMac. We saw that there was no second Colossus in production, which may have been a bit of a misstep there. So with only one Colossus available, like, that was all that Dolan needed. If it wasn't for that Raven, then the game would have gone on. The likelihood of PattyMac holding there at his third base would have been so much higher. So, wow. What a play from Dolan. Ooh. And with that, he takes the first game. I also apologize, like, as that was happening, my play-by-play, like, slipped up because I was just shocked at what just happened. I was like, oh my god. My brain was processing, like, just the situation that PattyMac was in. And with that, Dolan takes the lead. Ooh. And he only needs one more to move on here, or to take the series. And, ooh, again, I hope that Dolan, especially with this win, he's able to put the past in the past, right? Like, he can forget about his series versus Semper. He can focus on the here, on the now, on what's in front of him. Meanwhile, PattyMac, I know that he was a little bit confident, not just confident, but maybe a little bit cocky going into this series. Pure Legacy, you could argue that he's considered to be a stronger threat, a stronger Terran in this group, and PattyMac just 2-0'd him. So now he's, you know, feeling pretty good about himself, feeling pretty good about the situation that he's in, and maybe that's hurting him here. As we are diving in game number 2 of this best of 3 series, and spawning in the top left hand corner of Lightshade LE, we have the American Terran player. He's blue. It is Dolan. Quack. And spawning in the bottom right hand corner of Lightshade LE, we have the American Protoss player representing the Cranky Ducklings. Currently down in the series but not out. It is PattyMac. I see Zergling Claws attack. Why didn't you recruit Dolan to be a Cranky Duckling? If you're familiar with how the Ducklings team came about, the NA division of our team is the newest division, and as much as we would love to have some more players, we do have a couple in mind. Unfortunately, the Cranky Ducklings, we are at capacity. We cannot necessarily expand our team. We've got 2 Oceanic players, 2 Latin American players, and of course PattyMac, our North American player. I would love to expand and sign some more, but yeah, we don't necessarily have enough funds for that. A bit of a fun fact, I guess, for the behind the scenes of the Cranky Ducklings. But here we go. Game number 2, and once again, PattyMac is going for a bit of a cheeky proxy here. Of course, it is going to take some time for the Cybercore to finish up if this is going to be, say, another Stargate, but it would be a really odd place for a Stargate if it was one. I'm really curious to see what this is going to be, as obviously PattyMac is still patrolling his probe here at said location, waiting for the Cybercore to finish up, and we'll see what it's going to be. Meanwhile, Dolan does SCV scout once again. Just like the previous game, he confirms that there are 2 gases, that the pylon is missing, and bearing in mind, just like the previous game, he goes for an Angie block. Beautifully done, and it's a Stargate again. So PattyMac going for the exact same opener, and we have a very similar, or I say similar, we have the exact same response. Deja vu, yo. Dolan with the NG block. Dolan maneuvering his racks over to a safer location, getting a bunker here on top of the ramp. Ooh, and we'll see how things differ here. I guess the biggest difference is that this proxy is further away, so the likelihood of the first Marine scouting the Stargate is honestly quite lower. We also have the Adept already here across the map, so Dolan is going to be in the dark. Quite in the dark compared to previously. So he doesn't necessarily know what's out on the map. It could honestly be a proxy robo for all he knows. But you know, he's crossing his T's, he's dotting his I's, he already has Marines in the mineral line, so in case an Oracle does show up, he will be able to be in position to help deal with it. Meanwhile, PattyMac just continuing to check the front door here with his Adepts. He, this time, doesn't see too much. There we go, he commits to the Shade. He confirms the CC on the low ground as well as the Starport on the way, so he knows that it is a 1-1-1 opening from Dolan. No 3 racks, or no 2 racks, or anything crazy like that. And interesting use here of the Oracle. It comes out, and he's actually going to be able to delay the production. Oh my god. Wow. Nicely done here from PattyMac. Like, obviously he was aware that the Marines were missing from the front door, so he assumed that they would be in the mineral line, so he doesn't take the risk, he doesn't dive straight in. Instead, he gets the secure damage here, delaying the Starport and the CC with his Oracle, and keeps it alive. For now. Of course, he has to be careful. Oh, that was so close. Meanwhile, the Adepts continuing to check that depot as best they can. If they ever find a moment in, they will just dive straight for it. Meanwhile, we have a transition from PattyMac going for Blink Stalkers once again. Lo and behold, shock horror. Same thing we saw previously. Oracle's gonna dip in, but the Cyclone is ready and waiting, so if he commits... Oh, he doesn't! Can he escape? It looks like just barely he will. But for how much longer? Because we do have a Viking out for Dolan, he can hunt this down. The Marines are chasing as well. Oh god, it looks like PattyMac will just barely escape with this Oracle. Unfortunately, because... Oh my god! How? He just weaved his way through both Cyclones, somehow missing both of them, so the Oracle will survive. I thought it was going to be hunted down. Meanwhile, Dolan was looking for it, was attempting to bring it down, but PattyMac was able to get past regardless. Oh my god. Was able to elude him. There we go. That's the word that I was looking for. And now PattyMac, he's rotated around and he's going back into the main. And this time there's nothing here. Oh my god. He's double checking first with the hallucination, so he doesn't want to just dive into his death. Understandable, but with this he confirms there's nothing here. There we go, the Oracle can now dive into the main. Meanwhile, Dolan is out on the map, and very interestingly, he's not going for any upgrades, and this needs to be scouted. Like, there's no stim on the way, there's nothing. He's just going with vanilla Marines and tanks. PattyMac, what does he have at home? He cannot be too greedy. Taking this third base is a little bit too much. As the Oracle is dealing devastating damage across the map, 7 SCVs go down, but Dolan doesn't care. He's going for it. He will find that there is no third TC here, but again, the positioning of the army is revealed for PattyMac. Does he have enough at home to defend? He does have an overcharge available. He needs a little bit more time to gather that energy. There we go. Overcharge does get popped, but does he have enough? He only has gateway units. He's trying to force his way through. He does focus down the tank just in time. Without a tank, Dolan cannot push on forward. Meanwhile, that Oracle just continuing to deal more damage. 13 SCVs went down, and a tank came out. Not a Cyclone. Ay. And what does Dolan have? He doesn't have stim. He doesn't have combat shields. Like, this was a very dedicated opening with very little follow-up. We do see the aggressive blink forward from PattyMac. 6 probes did go down, but does it even matter? The second tank gets focused down. And Dolan, he was trying to force this with the follow-up, with the additional tanks, with the reinforcements, but that also gets pushed away. He's forced to transition, and G-Bay gets thrown down. But again, where's the stim? Where's the combat shields? Like, Dolan didn't necessarily want to go for a plan B. Like, look at the worker counts as well. PattyMac, he has held on the initial push, and I say initial push, arguably all in. And now PattyMac can do whatever he wants. Not whatever he wants, to be fair, but... Oh god. I'm a little bit concerned here for Dolan. PattyMac also doesn't have to overextend. He doesn't have to force his way into this 2-basing Terran player. If he wants to, he can just continue to take up, to continue to take bases, probe up as well. He checks the front door, confirms that there is a tank. He backs off, thankfully. I say back off. Yo, he wants to dive into the main. Let's go. Of course, blink is done. We're gonna have a hallucination from this sentry. High ground vision is provided, and PattyMac can blink in, and there's only one tank, and it's on the low ground. Oh my god, the Stalkers do get into the main base. They immediately take down one of the Marines. This Cyclone is under threat as well. One more volley, and the Cyclone does go down, and next are the SCVs. Marines are forced to respond. We do have a recall, so PattyMac doesn't want to lose all these Stalkers for free, but they already dealt the damage they needed to, and the Immortal picked off the tank! How? Oh my god, it's gonna cost the life of the Immortal, but well worth it in this scenario, where PattyMac can afford to replace his Immortals, or he doesn't even want Immortals anymore, and Dolan can't afford to replace his tanks. He doesn't even have a tech lab on the factory. And again, what do we have here? Obviously, we have Charge finishing up +1. Colossus are on the way. Extended Thermal Lance on top of that. We have we're about to have a fully saturated third base. Dolan needs to do something crazy to come back here. He should be aware that he cannot macro out of this. He can't be thinking about getting a third base. So hitting a timing is his only way, but even then it's going to be so risky. We have an observer in position. We have a sentry as well in case there is a drop, in case the army moves out. PattyMac has eyes on everything. Right, here we go. Dolan pushing out with what he has. I mean, Stim should finish up by the time the army gets across the map. Combat shields, though, it only just started. Oh boy. He is able to take out the observer. So again, once Dolan moves out, it's going to be on the Stalkers and the sentries, or the units of PattyMac, to try and scout that. PattyMac should be aware that there is no third base from everything he's seen. I hope he doesn't try and take a fourth. There we go. Shield batteries are being thrown down again. All that PattyMac has to do is defend. He just has to survive this push, and the longer this game goes on, the better it is looking for PattyMac. On the side of Dolan, trying to think about what he can do other than obviously hitting a strong timing, is maybe trying to go for a Doom Drop. Hitting this third base is not going to work. With cannons and shield batteries, it's just going to be suicide, and it looks like he's getting ready for it. We do have some harassment in the main. do see a scan, confirms the location of the army over towards the north, so maybe a drop into, like, there is some hidden, there is some vision here, or a location without any vision, but oh my god, at the same time, PattyMac scouts the army! He's gonna try and chase it down. Oh my god, can he keep up? Meanwhile, the double drop is headed towards the main. Oh, a couple of these Widowmines are getting picked off. We do not have detection, by the way. Widowmine shots go off, but there is no armory, so detection wasn't required. They all get cleaned up. We do have the double drop into the main base. We do have a couple of Stalkers trying to intercept. They do take out one of the Medivacs, but only one. The rest of the army does get dropped, but it looks like it's not going to be enough to overwhelm the reinforcements, to overwhelm the warp in. PattyMac defends, and now we can focus on ending the game. No tanks, only a handful of Widowmines. The shots will go off. One of them gets baited by a single zealot. And GG gets called. PattyMac ties up the series 1-1. GG. That was that was a little bit rough there from Dolan. Again, he was very committed with his first initial push, with his tanks and with his bio. But once that was slowed down, yeah. it wasn't just slowed down, it was also, again, the Oracle really came into play there, really crippled the economy of Dolan, forcing his hand, forcing him to stay on two bases. I was very impressed by how PattyMac was able to maneuver that Oracle to avoid the army, just thread the needle past all the Cyclones as well. I 100% thought that Oracle was dead. But damn, it was anything but dead. Oracle was the MVP there, and again, it didn't just scout the army, it also dealt the damage, and everything, all the PattyMac had to do was defend at home, and he was able to accomplish it, and now we are moving on to the ace match. Game number 3, the final game of this series, the final game of this stream, as this is the final series that we are casting here on the C stream. I say we, a couple of people were asking about it. Earlier I was casting alongside Cristiano, but unfortunately he did have to leave us after the 3rd series. On top of that, there was that extended break. He didn't have enough time to stick around for the final one. And speaking of the final game, here we go. Spawning in the bottom left hand corner of 2000 Atmospheres LE, we have the American Protoss player. He is red, representing the Cranky Ducklings, tying up the series 1-1. Can he close it out? It is PattyMac. And spawning in the top right of 2000 Atmospheres LE, we have the American Terran. He's blue. Again, it's tied up 1-1. This could go either way. It is Dolan. Oh my. We do have the SCV sneaking across the map, avoiding said probe. Can be able to reach the main base of PattyMac. And I'm really curious to see, as we have a very fast NG bay. I love it. I love the NG block here from Dolan being as annoying as possible. He's going to be able to have so much HP on this NG bay. Again, shouldn't be finishing it, but should be leaving it at the very last moment. And PattyMac comes down and he confirms this NG bay. And I'm really curious to see PattyMac's response. He throws down the pylon, so okay, he's gonna attempt to kill or force a denial on this NG bay. There are some Protoss players who, they see this, and they just go for the 3rd. They just pull a Zerg in PvZ, and they just go for another base entirely. Oh my god, meanwhile, PattyMac's response is a Nexus in the main base! Let's go! What is happening? So, before this series started, PattyMac was messaging me, and he was like, yo, did you see my series versus Pure Legacy? I'm like, I didn't get to see game 1. He's like, yo, I got some cheese ready. I got some dirty builds in my back pocket, and here we go. We have a Nexus in the main. Oh my god! The CC wasn't positioned properly, so it does get cancelled. Jesus, 400 minerals down the drain. Sorry, 100. Oh my god. Meanwhile, what this Nexus is doing, it is forcing a response. We'll see if PattyMac actually lets this finish, because we do have a bunker on the way as well, like the Sim City is nicely done by Dolan. Obviously the goal here is for a recall. We're gonna have 2 adepts and a zealot. We're gonna recall into the main base and wreak havoc once this nexus finishes. And we'll see if PattyMac's gonna commit here, or if he does go for the cancel. It looks like he should commit. Bunker is gonna finish in time though. I don't know if it's gonna be the wisest choice. We'll see. Up. There it is. Here we go. We have the recall. The boys are being pulled to try and deal with this. Meanwhile, again, PattyMac, he has to zone away from that bunker. A lot of the Marines are actually kind of stuck in between all these buildings, avoiding the Zealot, but instead SCVs are falling left and right. The big question is this going to be worth the Nexus? Because one of the Adepts already died. Nicely done there by Dolan. He was able to get us around on one of them. Meanwhile, that Zealot, again, putting in a lot of work. It looks like 6 SCVs will go down. Is 6 SCVs worth a Nexus? That's my question. I don't know about that one, buddy. I don't know. I'm not feeling it. It did a couple of things. We had the salvage on the bunker as well. Of course, it does delay the CC. We had the cancel earlier as well from the CC, so there's a little bit that comes into play there. Obviously, this wasn't all in. Natural base has already been done for PattyMac. Oh boy. We'll see how this goes. It's just such an awkward start to the game. I'm just looking at the chat catch up. I love it. Oh my god. So from here, PattyMac, he's transitioning into a more normal game. We got Blink on the way. It's almost done here. The rest of the gateways are finishing up, so then he can continue to be aggressive. I'm really curious to see what is going to come out from this Robo. Is it just going to be observers for detection? Is he going to try and be a little bit more aggressive here? Speaking of aggressive, let's quickly check the vision of PattyMac. He did confirm that there were 3 Raxes. We do have the follow-up Hallucination Scout. We'll see if he forces a response here, and it looks like he will not, but he will confirm the 3 Rax. A lot of buy here coming out from Dolan. I was just quickly checking. +1 is still not being researched, by the way, which is a little bit peculiar for me. Especially since Yenji Bay has been done for quite some time. Dolan instead prioritizing his factory. And with this, PattyMac is going to be moving out. There is a big opportunity for him to maybe abuse Blink. Because there is no tank, there is no backbone to the army of Dolan. So there's a lot of opportunity for these Stalkers. Meanwhile, they're going to dip in. They are going to be forcing a denial on this missile turret, and the army of Dolan is completely out of position. Oh no. Dolan doesn't turn around. He had to make a choice. He's going across the map. Do we have a recall available? We do, and immediately PattyMac does return home. Here at home, what do we have? We have a shield battery, we have overcharge, we're gonna have a second shield battery as well. I don't necessarily see a world where Dolan gets too much damage done with this. Oh my god, and you could argue now because of that, PattyMac maybe recalled a little bit prematurely. He probably could have dealt a little bit more damage. But of course, Dolan is aware of the recall, so he knows what's here. He even scans to confirm the army. Oh, and this is a little bit scary. Again, with Blink, PattyMac can chase this down once he smells weakness. Oh god. And with the blinking of these Stalkers, not a single Stalker has gone down. And again, there's no medevac with this. Every single stim hurts Dolan even more. And with that, PattyMac has momentum. He's going to be able to chase down this entire army. He will lose a couple of Stalkers in the process, but again, PattyMac just wants it all. Oh, and he's going to get it. He focuses down one of the Immortals, the second, the third. The entire army of Dolan just crumbles. And what do we have to... again, PattyMac sees everything. He sees the lack of bunker. It's go time. PattyMac actually returns home with the Immortal, which is a little bit questionable to me, but he's playing this safe. And with this, the bunker's not going to be done in time. It's going to be denied. It's going to be delayed. We do have plenty of Marauders, though, so because of these Marauders, PattyMac shouldn't be able to overwhelm this. If he had his Immortal, I would say otherwise. But again, I guess PattyMac, he's not looking to end the game. He doesn't want to maybe overextend. Instead, he's getting a third base. You know, he's securing his third instead. Blinks up into the main base. Maybe pick up a couple of add-ons. Doesn't get any, actually. Instead, goes for Marauders. He's going to get all of them. Oh my god! And with the Blink Stalkers, he's just overwhelming everything that he has. Dolan, he's forced to pull the boys. and he will survive, but again, his army takes a huge blow. Ay, ay, ay. There we go, PattyMac does back off, and this is the scary thing about what PattyMac decided to do, was that with his advantage, he focused on his tech and his economy again. Very reminiscent of, I believe it was game number 1? Game number 2? Where we have Colossus, we have a third Nexus as well. PattyMac, he's got everything he needs. Finally, the gateways are in production. Once these gateways finish up, of course, I imagine we're going to be seeing a War Prism, and then PattyMac can just push out across the map. Dolan, I don't know if I see a world where he's going to be able to get a third. Again, some deja vu here from the previous game. Very similar scenarios. I guess the biggest difference is that Dolan does have stim and combat shields, so his bio isn't useless by any means. But he doesn't have +1. His tank count isn't that amazing either. He's going to have 3 tanks soon. And with 3 tanks and 4 medevacs, maybe he's going to be feeling to push out here and now. But again, once he does do that, PattyMac, he sees everything. he knows. Not for much longer. We should see a scan. There we go. Oh, and with that, maybe Dolan can make his move. As he pushes out, forces PattyMac to, again, back off with his Stalkers, giving Dolan some room. And for all PattyMac knows, we could have a third CC behind this. We, of course, know there's no such thing. We have 2 Raxes finishing up. We have more tanks in production. It is go time for Dolan. He is all in. He asked that. I say he's all in. He just now starts +1. I think that was an oversight. I think that was meant to have been finished a while ago. Ugh. And Dolan is backing off. Oh no, the bio is getting caught out! Dolan, please! All the Marines and Marauders do get picked off. And if he wanted to push out, I think now is not, it's no longer the time, mate. Oh god. He has tanks, sure. He's got a lot of tanks. A respectable amount of them. 10 tanks, that's a lot. But he doesn't have the bio he needs to protect them. Not anymore. And now in comes PattyMac. He blinks on top of everything. Where are the Colossus? Now they're finally joining the fray. All the tanks are going to get picked off. And with this, PattyMac, he is going to take the series 2-1.